For 41-year-old Isabella Hellmann, life in Delray Beach, Florida, was everything she had dreamed of when she left Colombia years earlier. Isabella was a vibrant, successful real estate agent at Signature Real Estate, known throughout her community for her warm smile and outgoing personality. She had built a life she was proud of, a beautiful condominium, a thriving career, and most importantly, her 10-month-old daughter, Emelia. Her family said she was devoted to making others happy. But for Isabella, the greatest joy in her life was being a mother. Everything she did was for little Emelia. Isabella's story began in Colombia, where she was born to Eduardo Rodriguez and Amparo Alvarez. Like so many before her, Isabella had come to America chasing the promise of a better life. She worked tirelessly to achieve her goals, first becoming a naturalized American citizen, then building her career in real estate. By 2017, she was living in a condominium on Oneida Drive in West Delray Beach, valued at approximately $117,000, and had established herself as a respected member of her community. Those who knew Isabella said she had a gift for connecting with people. Ben Schachter, her broker at Signature Real Estate, first met her when she was working as a bank teller. Seeing his company shirt, she had approached him about changing careers. He said her outgoing personality made her perfect for real estate, and he was right. In the 16 months she worked at his Delray Beach office, Isabella showed real promise as an agent. She was still building her client base, but colleagues could see she was destined for success. Isabella's family remained incredibly close-knit. Her parents, Eduardo and Amparo, lived nearby in Boca Raton, along with her 3 sisters, Diana, Elizabeth, and Adriana. The family had maintained their Colombian traditions whilst embracing their new American life, and they gathered frequently for meals and celebrations. Isabella's mother, Amparo, was particularly involved in helping care for baby Emelia, something that brought Isabella immense comfort as a working single mother. But Isabella's life was about to change dramatically when she met Louis Bennett online in 2014. Louis Richard Bennett was a 42-year-old mining engineer with an adventurous spirit and dual citizenship in Australia and the United Kingdom. Originally from Poole, Dorset, Bennett was an experienced sailor who held a Royal Yachting Association Coastal Skipper certification. His training included emergency procedures, man overboard protocols, and night sailing safety, skills that would later become crucial to this story. Bennett had even completed a 3-month voyage from St. Martin to Australia, proving his competence on the open seas. When Isabella and Louis began dating, their relationship moved quickly. In July 2016, their daughter Emelia was born, and by February 2017, they were married in a small ceremony. From the outside, it appeared to be a perfect match, the successful real estate agent and the worldly sailor starting their life together. But beneath the surface, cracks were already beginning to show. Isabella's family would later reveal that the couple faced constant financial pressures. They owed over $2,500 in various debts and were struggling with multiple credit card payments. More troubling were their fundamental disagreements about their future. Bennett wanted to raise Emelia in Australia, close to his family and business interests. Isabella was adamant that she would not leave Florida and her family. The tension between them was evident in text messages that would later be recovered by investigators. In one message, Isabella wrote to Bennett, "You make me crazy shouting, yelling, swearing." In another, she said, "I'm tired of you telling me I'm the most worst person you ever met before. Everything I do, it's wrong. This is very pathetic, Louis." Despite these problems, the couple decided to take a belated honeymoon cruise in April 2017, leaving 10-month-old Emelia with Isabella's family in Florida. On the 29th of April 2017, Isabella and Louis set off on what should have been the trip of a lifetime. They flew to St. Martin in the Caribbean, where they boarded Bennett's 37-foot catamaran, Surf into Summer. The plan was to sail through Puerto Rico, then to Cuba, before making the final journey back to Key West, Florida. Isabella had been looking forward to this trip, despite their marital problems. Her sister Diana said Isabella was excited about the adventure, though she missed baby Emelia terribly. The couple had planned to keep in regular contact with family through a satellite phone, but early in the trip, Isabella's personal mobile phone broke, leaving them dependent on Bennett's communication devices. What Isabella's family would later find suspicious was that Bennett did not activate the satellite phone or register his personal locator beacon until they reached Cuba, on the final, most dangerous leg of their journey. FBI investigators would later note that this was indicative of the fact that he wanted to ensure his own rescue and survival after murdering his wife. The couple spent several days sailing through the Caribbean, making stops as planned. Isabella called her sister regularly when she could, always asking detailed questions about Emelia and expressing how much she missed her daughter. But Diana noticed that during one of the final calls, Isabella seemed different. She didn't ask her usual questions about the baby, and the conversation felt rushed. On the 14th of May 2017, Isabella and Lewis departed Havana, Cuba, bound for the final stretch home to Florida. At 8:25 that evening, Isabella called her sister, Diana, via satellite phone. "We just connected the phone," Isabella told her. "It's been really hard for us to connect it." She explained they had left Cuba and were in the middle of the ocean. Her last words to her sister were, "I'll see you tomorrow." It would be the last time anyone heard Isabella's voice. According to Lewis Bennett's account, what happened next was a tragic accident. He told investigators that around 8 p.m. on the 14th of May, he asked Isabella to take control of the catamaran for the night watch, whilst he went below deck to sleep. Despite Isabella's limited sailing experience and the fact that she was not trained in emergency sailing procedures, Bennett said he did not require her to wear a life jacket, safety harness, or personal locator beacon. In the early morning hours of the 15th of May, Bennett claimed he was awakened by a loud crashing underneath. When he climbed to the deck, he said the sails and rigging were loose, the helm was unmanned, and Isabella was nowhere to be found. But what Bennett did next would raise immediate suspicions amongst investigators. According to his own admission, Bennett could not recall whether he called out for his missing wife. He did not deploy parachute flares to illuminate the water and search for her. He did not use the catamaran or the attached dinghy to conduct a search. He did not immediately activate any emergency equipment or use the satellite phone to call for help. Instead, Bennett spent approximately 45 minutes loading items onto the life raft. Among these items were a suitcase, 2 duffel bags, a backpack, 14 gallons of water, unexpended parachute flares, a radio transmitter, buoys, food, a tea set, and most tellingly, 9 plastic tubes containing 225 stolen silver coins worth $4,200. Only after securing his belongings and the stolen coins did Bennett cut the line tethering the life raft to the sinking catamaran and abandon ship. Only then did he call for help. At 1:30 a.m. on the 15th of May, the U.S. Coast Guard received emergency signals from Bennett's personal locator beacon, approximately 26 nautical miles west of Cay Sal Bank in the Bahamas. At 4:30 a.m., a Coast Guard helicopter located Bennett floating in his life raft and transported him to Marathon Jet Center in the Florida Keys. The rescue swimmer who assisted Bennett noted that his backpack was unusually heavy. It contained the stolen coins that would later lead to his first arrest. When Coast Guard officials asked Bennett what he had done to search for his wife, his answer was chilling. "I did not do anything." Bennett called Isabella's sister, leaving a voicemail about the disappearance, and contacted a friend in Australia to help alert authorities. But his behaviour from the very beginning struck investigators as strange. He appeared calm and composed, showing none of the emotional distress one would expect from a man who had just lost his wife at sea. The Coast Guard immediately launched one of the most extensive search and rescue operations in the region's history. For 4 days, from the 15th to the 18th of May, they searched over 4,980 square nautical miles using 4 different types of aircraft and 3 Coast Guard cutters. The operation lasted 137 hours and covered an area larger than some small countries. Despite their exhaustive efforts, Isabella was nowhere to be found. On the 18th of May at 8:45 p.m., the Coast Guard was forced to suspend the search. But just 1 day later, Bennett made a request that shocked the investigators. He asked the Coast Guard for a letter of presumed death for Isabella. Commander Luke Persiak told Bennett that the Coast Guard was not authorized to issue such letters, but investigators found the timing of the request deeply suspicious. As one FBI agent noted, it was extremely early for a husband who would normally want his wife to be found alive. Isabella's disappearance devastated her family. Her parents, Eduardo and Amparo, her 3 sisters, and baby Emelia, had been anxiously awaiting her return from the honeymoon. When the news came that Isabella was missing at sea, the family was heartbroken, but they rallied around Bennett, offering him their support and comfort. But their compassion was met with behaviour that left them increasingly troubled. Isabella's sister Diana described Bennett's demeanour when she first saw him after the search was called off. He was calm. He wasn't crying or anything. When I saw him, I ran to him and I hugged him and I said, "Where is Isabella?" And he said, "I don't know." 2 weeks after Isabella's disappearance, on the 28th of May 2017, Bennett came to the family's Boca Raton home with a police officer to retrieve what he claimed were his belongings: a laptop, iPad, engagement ring, and other items. He alleged that Isabella's family had taken these items from his home. What happened next was captured on the police officer's body camera, and the footage would later become crucial evidence. The 9-minute video shows a heartbreaking confrontation between a grieving family and the man they were beginning to suspect had killed their beloved Isabella. In the footage, Isabella's mother can be seen pleading with Bennett not to take baby Emelia away from them. Bennett had placed Emelia in his car and was preparing to leave the country. Isabella's sister Elizabeth, overcome with grief and suspicion, screamed at Bennett, "You already killed my sister. What else do you want? Now you want to kill my mom? That is what you want now?" At one point, Isabella's mother collapsed to the ground, overwhelmed by the realization that she might never see her granddaughter again. The police officer, sensing the family's distress, suggested to Bennett that he allow them to hold the baby one more time. Bennett refused. "I don't think that's right," he said, before getting in his car and driving away. The next day, Bennett purchased one-way tickets to the United Kingdom and flew there with Emelia, cutting off all contact with Isabella's family. Whilst Isabella's family struggled with their grief and the loss of baby Emelia, law enforcement agencies were working to uncover the truth about what had happened on that catamaran. The FBI Miami Field Office, working with the U.S. Coast Guard Investigative Service, had located the partially sunken catamaran during the search operation. What they found contradicted Bennett's story of an accidental collision. Coast Guard experts who examined photographs and video of the vessel made a startling discovery. The damage to the catamaran appeared to have been inflicted from inside the boat, not from an external collision. There were holes in both hulls in nearly identical locations, and 2 underwater escape hatches had been found open, which would have caused rapid flooding. An associate professor of nautical architecture and ocean engineering at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy was brought in to analyze the evidence. His conclusion was unequivocal. Based on the analysis, it does not appear the vessel sinking was caused by accidental damage. Rather, it appears the vessel was intentionally scuttled. The expert explained that the opening of both escape hatches was unexplainable as an accident and defies prudent seamanship. He could not think of any item that would accidentally cause similar holes in both hulls at roughly the same time. On the 16th of June 2017, exactly 1 month after Isabella's disappearance, the FBI executed a search warrant at the couple's Delray Beach condominium. Approximately 20 FBI agents spent 8.5 hours searching the property, emerging with evidence bags containing various items. Hidden in boat shoes in the master bedroom closet, investigators found 162 gold coins, part of the same cash Bennett had stolen from a yacht called Kitty R in St. Martin in May 2016, whilst working as first mate. This discovery linked Bennett to a pattern of calculated theft and deception that extended far beyond Isabella's disappearance. The stolen coins found on Bennett's life raft revealed a darker pattern. The $100,000 worth of gold and silver had been stolen from yacht Kitty R in May 2016, whilst Bennett worked as crew. He had filed a false police report claiming a burglary, when he was the thief all along. For investigators, Bennett's motives became clear. Killing Isabella would end their marital strife, allow him to inherit her estate, and give him sole custody of Emelia to raise wherever he chose. When Bennett returned to the United States on the 29th of August 2017 for an insurance interview, FBI agents arrested him. He pleaded guilty to transporting stolen goods and received 7 months in prison. But investigators were building a murder case. On the 20th of February 2018, the FBI arrested Bennett on second-degree murder charges. FBI Special Agent James Kelly wrote, "I respectfully submit that there is probable cause to believe that Louis Richard Bennett knowingly and unlawfully killed Isabella Hellmann with malice aforethought." The evidence was overwhelming. Expert analysis proved the catamaran was deliberately scuttled. Bennett's actions, prioritizing stolen coins over searching for his wife, immediately requesting a death certificate, fleeing with Emelia, revealed a man who had planned and executed murder. Bennett pleaded not guilty, but the walls were closing in. As evidence mounted, Bennett's legal team negotiated with prosecutors. On the 5th of November 2018, Bennett changed his plea, agreeing to involuntary manslaughter instead of murder. Isabella's family opposed the deal, believing Bennett had deliberately murdered their daughter. But prosecutors cited the challenges of proving premeditated murder on the high seas. Bennett now faced a maximum of 8 years instead of life in prison. On the 28th of May 2019, Louis Bennett appeared before U.S. District Judge Federico Moreno. Bennett read an apology. "I know they have been through unimaginable pain as a result of my actions, and for that I am truly sorry." He asked for 7 years instead of 8, to be reunited sooner with Emelia. Judge Moreno was unmoved. He sentenced Bennett to the maximum, 8 years in federal prison, plus $22,910 in restitution to Emelia, and 3 years supervised release. "The family of the decedent will never acknowledge that it was involuntary," Judge Moreno said. "Sentencing is also for punishment." Bennett waived his right to appeal. Judge Moreno had encouraged cooperation between the families regarding Emelia. In June 2019, Isabella's family travelled to Edinburgh to see Emelia for the first time since she was 10 months old. The reunion was emotional. Isabella's family had forgiven Bennett, recognizing that Emelia needed both families' love to thrive without her mother. Mitchell Kittresser, representing Isabella's family, said, "She's lost her mum, but that doesn't mean that she's lost her mum's family." Bennett is expected to be released and deported to the UK between 2026 and 2027. Emelia continues living with Bennett's parents in Scotland, but maintains regular contact with Isabella's family. Isabella Hellmann was a young mother who had achieved the American dream through determination and hard work. At 41, she was just beginning to see the fruits of her labour when her life was tragically cut short by the one person who should have protected her. Her colleagues remember Isabella's infectious smile and dedication to helping others. Her family remembers a daughter and sister who brought joy to everyone around her, who never missed a birthday or a chance to show she cared. Isabella's legacy lives on in her daughter, Emelia, now 9 years old, surrounded by 2 families who love her deeply and will ensure she knows how special her mother was. Isabella Hellmann was 41 years old when she died. She was a daughter, sister, mother, and friend whose light was extinguished far too soon. Her family asks that we remember Isabella not for the tragedy of her death, but for the joy she brought to everyone who knew her. Please don't forget Isabella.